Hello and welcome to Unwind Sessions, where right after my shift I give the highlights of my workday and answer any questions that might have been asked at a previous session. My name is Juan. I am an English Spanish medical video remote consecutive interpreter with over 4 years of experience. And today is Friday, June 18, 2021. Today I took a total of 34 sessions. Today I took way more video sessions than audio sessions, but there were a couple of audio sessions in the mix. So let's get right to it. The first highlight of the day is a word that was new to me today, and that word is rhabdomyolite. I'm sorry, what can I say? Rhabdomyolysis. Rhabdomyolysis. And the Spanish translation is rhabdomyolysis. And I am going to give you the definition for that word from clevelandclinic.org. It's my.clevelandclinic.org. And it says rhabdomyolysis, it can be a life-threatening condition caused by muscle breakdown and muscle death. The dangerous muscle damage can result from overexertion, trauma, toxic substances, or disease. So yeah, that's a very bad condition, and well, the context why was this word mentioned? Because a gentleman suffered a seizure, and they wanted to test him to see how bad his rhabdomyolysis was. And I noticed something like whenever I usually have to look up a word, which actually I looked up the word this time. I didn't ask the provider where it was because I thought I could find it, and I really did. I did find it, but I noticed something that I did, and I wanted to share with you. And this is usually like my process, like how I actually do it. Now, sometimes if I don't understand the word, then I will, if I don't understand the word at all, like the doctor or the patient mentions the word and I completely don't understand it, like I know that if I'm gonna look it up, like I couldn't understand it, so I'm not gonna find it. So I don't waste time actually trying to find it. I just have that word, I write it down as I heard it, as best as I heard it. Then as soon as the party finishes their rendition, what I actually do is I ask them if what the word meant, right? If it's a doctor, I go right ahead. I'm sorry, doctor, this is the interpreter speaking. I am not familiar with this term. Would you please spell it for me or use another word or explain it to me? I usually like to ask them to spell it. That way I can look it up and it works for me for future reference. But it depends with the doctor. Like I said before, sometimes they will spell it. Sometimes they'll say, no, instead of use this. Sometimes they will explain what it is. So it just depends on the doctor. And so don't expect every doctor to actually go ahead and spell it for you. I mean, we're all different, right? So yeah, but if you can ask them to spell it and they do, that is going to be the best because it will actually work for future reference. So, all right, I heard the word pretty good, and even though I had never heard it before, I was pretty sure I was going to be able to find it. So, what did I do? What do I do when that happens? Whenever I know that I'm going to find the word, um, what I actually do is that I stop taking notes and I actually type down the word, but I'm still listening. Although I'm not taking down the notes, I'm still listening to what the other party is saying and I'm still remembering. So this is like short-term memory intense. Like I have my notes written down and then I'm looking for the word, so the translation for the word, and as I'm doing that, I'm still remembering what the other party is talking about. And if I find it, then I find it, and I just leave it up on the screen, and I start writing my notes. And like I don't know, yeah, I've mentioned this before. Like my mind automatically like knows how much I can actually remember, like short term, precisely, and before it reaches that point, I am able to find the words that I have, and when I don't, what I actually do is I give my rendition very slowly. I start off very slowly. Like for example, in this case, I could have been like, "Oh yeah, what we really need to find." And while I'm giving the rendition and I'm doing it really slow, but I'm looking that word up, and I this time I was able to find it. I put it in Lingui. Of course, I couldn't find it. Then I put it in Google, and I found it. Then I put it back in Lingui, and I was able to find it. But I found it when the lady gave. I actually found it when the lady had finished her rendition. And when the lady had finished her rendition, I went ahead and I did this technique of speaking slowly, so you can catch up. And it worked. But I noticed like this is something that I do automatically. I don't know why this time, maybe because it's relevant to online sessions. Uh, but I had never noticed that before. But I noticed how like short-term memory intense that was, because like you have to remember what you wrote down in your notes, and then while you're like looking up the word, you, well, I am just listening, right? So I'm remember. I have what I wrote down in the notes, and then I'm remembering what the other party is saying, and then I'm looking up the word at the same time. So that's like multitasking at a very high level, and I was able to pull it off this time. And for the most part, I am able to pull it off like that. Like it's something that that's actually how I do it. And if at any moment I am not able to find the word, then I just give up and I tell the provider, I'm sorry, ma'am or sir, I am not familiar with this term. But rarely does that happen. Most of the time, I am pretty fast and I am able to get it. So yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know about that, how I do it. Of course, this is more VRI or OPI, uh, because of course I don't know if in person you can have a computer. I'm pretty sure you can't. Probably looking up terms on your cell phone is fine, but I don't know. I've never been in person, so I don't want to talk about that because I have no knowledge or experience, right? So yeah, I wanted to share that with you guys. And moving on, today there was a lady that asked if she had pendy in Spanish, and I'm sorry, this is interpreter speaking. May I clarify something with the patient? And he said, yeah, of course. And then I asked her, I'm sorry, ma'am, I do not understand the word that you're using, pendy. And I think she got mad or something, and then she said, "Pendy? ¿No sabes lo que es pendy?" And that in English is pendy. You don't know what a pendy is? And I told her no. And then she started talking in perfect English. She said, "What? You don't know what a pendy is?" And then the doctor just looked at her like, "I don't even know what a pendy is either." And so I told her, "Ma'am, I'm sorry," of course in Spanish. Ma'am, I'm sorry, I don't understand that word that you're using. Would you please describe it or explain it to me? And then she said, well, it's just that I have a pain that I get all of a sudden on my left side of my stomach. And now, when she said stomach, I automatically thought appendix. And that's what I suspected it was since the beginning. But you never know. What I have learned working with LEPs, because they come from all kinds of nationalities, and every nationality has their regionalism. They have their words that they use that they probably don't use in other countries. So I have learned so many times, never assume what a person says. If you don't hear it correctly, of course, if you hear it correctly, right? You heard it correctly and you say it and it's not correct because you misheard it, then that's not a problem. But if you're actually assuming something, that is going to be a problem. And believe me, you're gonna look like a fool when everything is uncovered and settled. Unless you don't interpret all of that for the doctor, but it's gonna be a little hard, right? I believe honesty is the best policy, and I always interpret everything, and even if they badmouth me, doesn't matter. I'm just there to be an interpreter. So, anyways, I'm moving away from the point. So yeah, as soon as I said appendix, and then she said, "Oh, sí, apéndice." But man, this lady was mad at me because I didn't know what her made-up word was. So I'm sorry, expect things like that. Expect the unexpected, right? But yeah, that was the only thing that happened with this session, and I was able to handle it correctly, and I was able to move on to the next session. And now the next thing is an example of what I just mentioned. You should never assume what a person says. Now, I have noticed something that happens to me whenever there's a person that speaks with an accent. Now, what is it that happens? Is that when a person speaks with an accent and I'm not able to understand it, my brain like just process it and then it must decipher it or something because all of a sudden, like after 2 seconds of hearing what the person said, most of the time, I am able to decipher and I am able to give a good rendition. Now, I don't know if this is good or bad. Of course, this is good because it helps me understand the accents, but this is bad because, like I mentioned, I'm just assuming, right? I didn't really understand the person, but from the context and everything, like my brain just pieces it together and then it says, okay, this was said. And I go ahead and give that rendition, and most of the time is good, and I have not had a lot of problems. But with this lady, I would like to say that the acoustics of the room were not good. There was a lot of echo, and sometimes I don't know if it was her accent or if it was just the room, but there were some things that I was not able to understand her. And so whenever I didn't understand her, of course, I went ahead and I let her know if she could repeat what she said. And yeah, she was very nice and she repeated everything that she said. And there were quite a few repetitions, like I'm saying, like I told you, I don't know if it was the room, if it was her um, pronunciation. But yeah, it was I don't want to say a bad session. It was a pretty good session, but the audio sometimes got lost and it made it a bad session. But I was able to get over it, no problem, until the end. So we're wrapping up and everything, and then the provider tells the lady, you need to remember that it's very important not to miss any appointments and you need to relax. Now, let me give you a little background about the session. The lady came in with a lot of stress because she was going through a very stressful situation in her life. Nothing life-threatening or something, but yeah, what she was going through would make me feel really stressed. I've actually been through what she's been through, and yeah, that I was stressing. So, anyways, I went ahead and I interpreted. Just make sure you don't miss any appointments and relax. And when I said that, the doctor turns to me and then she tells me, "Oh, no, no, no. I didn't say relax. I told you labs." So I was like, "Oh, I'm very sorry, doctor. That's what I heard." And then she said, "No, don't worry. Just go ahead and tell her that it's okay. Relax is also important, but that she also needs her labs." So I went ahead and I told her that, and of course she laughed. We all had a laugh, and that was the end of the session. And that was just like what 14 minutes ago. It was just right before this. That was my last session. So yeah, that actually goes together with also what I was mentioning yesterday about using really precise words that cannot have a second meaning. But this time is actually, even though this is helpful to go ahead and understand um, certain accents, I believe it also has its downfalls. So I don't know. I don't know what to think about it. On one hand, I am able to go ahead and interpret accents very well for the most part, but on the other hand, I said relax, not labs, right? So yeah, I'm still debating on that. I don't know what I should do there. So expect more sessions talking about that in the future. And yeah, moving on, I'm gonna move on to a viewer's questions. Before I do that, I have decided for this channel that, for this sessions, for unwind sessions, that any topics that I'm pretty sure that there are going to be new viewers in the future and they're going to keep on asking the same questions, right? Memory retention and note taking, because those are the two tough ones. So um, I hate going ahead and giving the same information that I've already said at a previous session, because I don't think that like it's so easy for me, right? I just take the notes from the previous session and I just give you an exact session, so that does not make me feel good. I really like learning new stuff, so what I've decided what I'm gonna do is that whenever I get a topic that I've already talked about before, of course, I am going to refer you to watch the videos that have already talked about that topic. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and research these topics so that I can actually learn new stuff about these topics, and I actually help you learn as well. So we both learn, right? I learn, you learn, and it's a win-win. And I think that'll be better, more exciting, and that'll make us all better interpreters, right? So that's how I'm gonna go with things. So I hope it works. I'm pretty sure it will. Sounds like $1 million idea to me. We'll see what happens. So yeah, let's get on to the viewer's question, and his name is Subair or Subair. I'm sorry if I murdered your name, Mohammed Subair Mohammed, and he asked a very good question. He asked me, "How much do you get paid hourly for telephonic call on demand?" Oh man, and I am very sorry because I did not do it by the hour for what I used to get paid when it was telephonic on demand, and those are the current rates. Of course, when we talk about rates about interpreters, it all depends on where in the world you're working, your skill level, and your experience. So those are the top three factors that are going to decide how much an interpreter gets paid. And of course, um, the most demand for interpreters and the highest pay is actually in the USA. I'm gonna go ahead and talk about the rates in the USA. I really don't know what country you are from, and I wouldn't like to assume, because I wouldn't like to give you irrelevant information. If you want specifics on the country that you are in, go ahead and leave me another message, and I will kindly go ahead and do some research on that. So yeah, let's go ahead, and I am looking at data from ziprecruiter.com. That's zip, recruiter.com. You can go ahead and look at rates for many different fields, not just interpreting. And it says that I just took the average value, the average hourly rate in the USA. That's the median, and it falls $21 an hour. That's $43,144 a year. Like I said, I don't know what skills they have, but I think I have heard sometimes that a medical interpreter over the phone that is certified can actually make like $29 an hour. If anybody has better information, please go ahead and drop it in the comments. It would really help us. So yeah, that is the average price. I mean, it doesn't seem wrong. It doesn't seem bad. I mean, I wish I was making that money. It's probably not a lot of money to some interpreters, right? But for me, man, I wish I was making that money, because I'm gonna tell you how much I was making when I was working over the phone interpreting here in Mexico, and it was customer service, and it was $600 a month. $600 a month. So I was actually, what is that? 12,000 times 6, 6 times 12. You 12 and the 167, like $7,200 a year. Now I don't know where you're from, but I mean, to me that seems a little bit of money. Uh, but of course, it all depends on where we are at, right? And what expenses you have and all of that. And when I was actually an over-the-phone medical interpreter, not certified, I was only tested by the company that I was working for. Well, I was actually making $700 a month. So that was a little better. And I felt like the king of the world when I was making those $700 a month. I had never made so much money here in Mexico. Uh, so yeah, I was feeling like a king. And then I would throw in some overtime, and I was making $1,000 an hour, but I was working 10 hours a day, Monday through Friday. So yeah, it was a little tough, but it was worth it. Uh, so yeah, those are the rates. Expect $21 an hour on average. Of course, if you have less experience, more experience, it's gonna be less. It's gonna be more. And there are some agencies that are going to pry on the fact that you are a beginner, right? And they're going to tell you that it's because you have no experience and they're going to give you experience, so they're going to give you a lower rate, and that's okay. I believe it's a fair exchange, and it'll give you lots of experience. Maybe not so good pay, but then maybe you get your experience and you can move on to a better job, right? Or decide you want to be a medical interpreter, court interpreter, like a certified interpreter. I don't know. There's just a lot of room to grow in that sense. And I'm gonna go ahead and ask your second question. How much do I get paid as a video interpreter? And you're also a new interpreter in this field. All right. Nice to know that you're also a Terp already. And the information that I got, I'm going to talk about USA as well. It's from ziprecruiter.com, and they say that a video remote interpreter makes an average of $34 an hour, and that's $69,739 a year. So, oh boy, I wish I was making that money. But yeah, so like I said, everything depends on what region and all of that, all of the factors that I already mentioned. So let's go to how much I'm making a month. And an hour, I get 100 pesos an hour. So that is like $5. I'm getting like about $5 an hour. And a month, I get $1,000 a month. So like you can see that is like big time, a big difference from the $600-700 I was getting a month at the other company where I was just over the phone to $1,000 a month. So yeah, I mean, you can really see like the big difference and why I really loved BRI over the phone because of the pay difference. So yeah, but I mean, of course, I wish I was making more money, like in the USA, right? But expenses in the USA are also more. So, yeah, I mean, everything has its pros and cons, right? So, yeah, I don't know what country you're from. It would be nice if you could let me know what country you're from. Like, for example, I told you I'm from Mexico, and that's how much you can expect in Mexico and in the USA. But if you live in a different country, maybe I can do for another session about that. So that is going to be pretty much it for me today. Please leave your questions in the comments and I will answer some of them on the next session. I will be here every Monday through Friday after work. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you liked the video and have not done so for more content. And don't forget to share. Happy interpreting. Goodbye.